$200 a month. That's the number I went looking for. Not 1,000, 200, because $200 a month is $2,400 a year, and $2,400 a year is the property tax bill, or the insurance deductible, or the flight out to see the grandkids, or just the difference between checking the grocery receipt and not having to. I've spent the last few weeks working through ways a person past 60 can bring some money in, and I set myself 3 rules before I started, so let me give you those first, because they're the reason this list is shorter than most. I'm Elaine. Spend where it matters. Save where it doesn't. Rule 1, it has to pay within a month. Not build an audience, not invest a year and see what happens. Money in your account by the end of the month. That rule alone knocked out an awful lot of popular ideas. Rule 2, it can't cost anything to start. No equipment to buy, no training fee, no inventory ordered before there's a single customer. Everything on this list you could start this week with things already in your house. If the money flows toward them before it flows toward you, it didn't make my list. And rule 3, it can't create a second problem. This is the one nobody thinks about. Extra money can bring a tax bill you didn't plan for, an insurance gap you didn't know you had, or in some cases a smaller Social Security check. I'll come back to all 3 at the end because honestly, those 3 points are worth more than the list itself. 11 ideas made it through all 3 rules. I've put them in order of how easily you can start, not how much they pay. One last thought before we begin. Be honest with yourself about 2 things: what your body is willing to do and how much of your week you're willing to hand over. Some of these are physical. Some tie you to a fixed hour. Neither one is a problem unless you didn't see it coming. Number 1, sitting with older adults. Company. A little light tidying up, help getting lunch on the table, somebody in the house so a working family can leave for the day and not worry. In small towns especially, families cannot find anybody for this at all. The need is enormous and it is not being met. You've got 2 ways to go. Through an agency, you'll earn less per hour, but they find the clients, they handle the schedule, and there's somebody to call when something goes wrong. Direct through word of mouth, you keep the whole rate and you manage all of it yourself. Both are reasonable. Just don't pick the direct route only because the hourly number looks bigger. The agency is charging for something real. One caution, and it's an important one: company and light housekeeping is one job. Personal care, bathing, lifting, handling medication, that's a completely different job with training and licensing behind it in most states. Be very clear at the start about which one you've agreed to, because that line has a way of moving quietly over a few months, a little at a time, until you're doing work you never agreed to and aren't insured for. Number 2, pet sitting and dog walking. Somebody works all day and their dog needs a walk at noon. Somebody goes away for a weekend and needs a cat fed and a lamp switched on. Somebody's had surgery and can't manage the back steps. This is the easiest thing on the list to start because your first customers already live on your street. You don't need a website. You need to mention it to 3 neighbors. And if you're already walking every day for your health, this is about the closest thing to free money here. You're being paid for something you were doing anyway, at a time you were already doing it. 2 practical notes. Set a limit on the size of dog you'll take. A 70-pound dog that spots a squirrel is a real falling hazard, and no fee is worth a broken wrist at our age. And decide ahead of time what you charge for holidays. Christmas and Thanksgiving are when people are desperate and nobody else is available, and that's worth more than a Tuesday in March. Number 3, errands and driving to appointments. Returns to the post office, the pharmacy run, the weekly grocery pickup, driving a neighbor to a doctor's appointment, and sitting with them until they're done. People pay for this because the alternative is a working adult taking a half day off, which costs them a lot more than they're paying you. And driving somebody to an appointment and waiting is genuinely valuable work. A lot of older folks won't go at all if they have to arrange it themselves. Charge for your time, and charge separately for your mileage, and write those miles down in a notebook in the car on the day. That record is worth real money at tax time, and I'll explain exactly why at the end. 2 things make this work instead of just filling your afternoon. Set a minimum, an hour, or a flat call-out fee, because a 15-minute errand 6 miles away isn't worth the gas or the getting dressed. and group your customers by where they live. If 3 people on the same side of town all need something on a Wednesday, that's 1 trip and 3 fees, and it turns an idea that pays poorly into one that pays properly. I'd say this too, be careful about handling other people's money. If you're paying for their groceries and getting reimbursed, keep every receipt and settle up each time. Never let it run on into next week. That's not about mistrust. That's about protecting a good arrangement from a misunderstanding. Number 4, evening and weekend childcare. Let's do the numbers on this one properly because there are some very optimistic figures floating around. The national average this year is $26.24 an hour for 1 child and just under $30 an hour for 2. Now those are national averages and the spread is wide. A few cities are up near 30, plenty are under 20. Here in the Columbus area, it sits just under $20 an hour, which is among the lowest in the country. So find out what your area actually pays before you quote anybody. $20 an hour for a Friday evening is $80, and $80 a week is over $300 a month. That's a real result. It's just not $35 an hour, and I'd rather you heard that from me than found it out in the conversation. Here's the encouraging part. Those rates went up almost 5% over the past year, faster than inflation. It's one of the few numbers in the household budget that moved in our favor. Number 5, cleaning 1 or 2 homes a week. Not 5 houses, 2, a 4-hour morning, your own days, and then you go home. The mistake almost everybody makes here is charging by the hour. If you're good at this, and if you've run a house for 40 years, you are good at this, you'll be faster than whoever they had before. And charging by the hour means you get paid less for being better at it. Price the job instead. This house, this often, this much. If you finish early, that's your reward, not your penalty. Be clear from the start about what isn't included. Windows, ovens, and anything involving a ladder should be quoted separately or turned down flat. And bring your own supplies if you can. You'll work faster with products you know, and you can build the cost into your price. Number 6, alterations and mending. Hemming pants, replacing the zipper on a good coat, taking in a waistband, shortening curtains, patching a knee properly instead of with one of those stick-on squares. Almost nobody under 40 can do any of this, and a whole lot of us over 60 can do all of it. If you own a working sewing machine, you already own the business. There's no startup cost, and there's nothing to learn. And the demand is growing, not shrinking, because people have figured out that the alternative to hemming a good pair of pants is buying another pair that won't last as long. There's nothing frugal about replacing the same thing 3 times, and your customers have started to notice. Price by the job, and keep a written list of your prices so you're not doing math on the doorstep. Hems, 1 price, zippers, another. Anything unusual, you look at it first and then you quote. Number 7, bookkeeping. If you spent your working life in accounts, this is the highest earning idea on this list, and it's the one people most often talk themselves out of. A small business, a church, a little nonprofit, a bowling league, a homeowners association. Every one of them needs somebody who can keep a clean set of books and doesn't have to be taught what a reconciliation is. And a lot of them are still running on a spreadsheet and would be thrilled with a person who just does it properly and on time. I know exactly what the objection is because I hear it constantly from people my age. It's been years, I'd be out of date. Well, some of the software has changed, the thinking has not. If you can find a discrepancy of $11.40 and be unable to rest until you know where it came from, you are qualified. And you're worth considerably more per hour than most of the other ideas here. Start by asking one organization you already belong to. Number 8, teaching what you already know. A craft evening, a cooking session, a beginner's class in whatever it is you're good at. 6 or 8 people at a church hall or around somebody's kitchen table, and a set fee each. It can be almost anything. Bread, canning, basic car maintenance, how to use the phone their kids gave them for Christmas. That last one people would pay a great deal for, and almost nobody offers it. Here's the part that matters financially. Either have people bring their own materials, or build the materials into the fee and buy them only after everybody is paid. Do it the other way around, and you'll be out of pocket the first time 2 people cancel, and 2 people will cancel. Collect the money up front. Not because your neighbors aren't honest, but because a fee already paid is a fee that shows up on the night. Number 9, gardening and yard work. Planting, weeding, flower boxes and containers, cleaning up in the fall. This pays well and the work is pleasant if you enjoy it. The thing to be clear-eyed about is that word seasonal. This is not a monthly income. It's a good income for maybe 7 months and nothing at all for the rest, so treat what comes in over the summer as money that has to stretch to February. Set some of it aside on purpose instead of being surprised in November. If the kneeling is a problem, containers and window boxes are your answer. Same work, waist height, and people pay handsomely for somebody who'll keep the front of the house looking cared for. Price this by the visit rather than by the hour, and try to sell the season rather than the afternoon. A customer who books you every 2 weeks from April to October is worth 5 times a customer who books you once, and it costs you nothing to ask. Most people say yes, because what they actually want isn't a tidy yard on Tuesday. It's never having to think about the yard again. And be firm about what you don't do. Trees, ladders, and anything that needs a machine you don't already own belong to somebody else. Number 10, baking inside your own state's rules. This one has more law attached to it than anybody ever mentions, and 10 minutes spent getting it right will save you a lot of trouble. Here in Ohio, we have it easier than most. No license, no registration, no inspection, no fee, and no limit on what you can earn, but it covers shelf-stable things only. Cookies, breads, brownies, cakes, fruit pies, jams, jellies, apple butter, candy, granola, popcorn. The minute you move to cheesecakes, custards, cream fillings, or cream cheese frosting, you're into food that needs refrigeration, and that requires a home bakery license. About $10 a year here, with a kitchen inspection attached to it. Your label has to carry the ingredients, the allergens, your name and address, and a line saying the product is home produced. And you can only sell inside the state. Now, your state may be a great deal stricter than mine. Some cap your annual sales, some require registration, so look up your own rules. Search your state's name and the words cottage food law, and read the state agriculture department's own page, not somebody's blog. And seasonal is where the money is. I know of one woman who bakes only at Thanksgiving, takes her orders on Facebook, and it pays for Christmas. Number 11, selling what's already in your house and then other people's. Books, tools, china, small furniture, yard equipment, sewing patterns. Start with your own things and start this week. You'll learn what sells in 2 days and what sits for 2 months. You'll find out what the fees actually take, and you'll clean out a closet while you're doing it. That's the whole apprenticeship, and it costs you nothing. If you find you enjoy it, garage sales and thrift stores become your supply, and it turns into something ongoing. If you find you don't, well, you've still cleaned out the closet, which needed doing. And local pickup is easier than shipping. Shipping means packaging, standing in line, and arguments about damage. Selling to somebody who drives over and picks it up means none of that. Now, 3 things that belong on every one of these lists and never are. The first is the $400 line. Once your net earnings from working for yourself hit $400 in a year, you're required to file and pay self-employment tax. That's 15.3%, figured on a little over 92% of your net. And you deduct half of it back afterward, so the real bite is smaller than the headline sounds. Net means after expenses, which is exactly why I asked you to write down your mileage. And there's a change this year that's going to catch people out. The threshold for a business to send you a 1099 form went up from $600 to $2,000, so fewer forms will show up in the mail. The tax owed is exactly the same. Don't let a quiet mailbox convince you otherwise. Keep a notebook. Money in on the left, money spent on the right. Hand it to whoever does your return. The second thing is your homeowner's policy, which almost certainly doesn't cover any of this. Most policies limit business equipment to around $2,500 at your home and $250 away from it, and generally exclude business liability altogether. So if a customer slips on your front step picking up an order, or you break something valuable in somebody else's house, that may well not be a covered claim. One phone call to your agent before you start anything. Tell them plainly what you're planning to do. Very often, a small endorsement covers it for a few dollars a month. This is the cheapest thing mentioned in this whole video and the one most likely to save you. And the third thing is Social Security. If you're at or past your full retirement age, you can earn as much as you like and your benefit isn't touched. Not a dollar of it. Most of you watching are in that group and can put this straight out of your mind. If you're under it, this year's figures are these. Under full retirement age all year, you can earn $24,480 before they start withholding a dollar for every two above that. In the year you reach full retirement age, it goes up to $65,160, and it eases to $1.03, counting only what you earn before your birthday month. Two things worth knowing. Withheld isn't lost. It comes back to you later as a higher benefit. And if you start something partway through the year, there's a special monthly rule that can protect the months you weren't earning. That's a phone call to Social Security, not a guess. I'm not a financial advisor, and I can't tell you how any of this lands on your particular return or your own record. Ask Social Security about your file and a tax preparer about your numbers, but go in already knowing the questions. So, where does that leave us? 11 ideas. All of them pay within weeks. Not one of them asks you to spend a cent before you earn one. And several you could set in motion this week with a conversation over the fence and nothing else. And I'll say this plainly. $200 a month for 4 pleasant hours is a better arrangement than $1,000 for 30 hard ones. At 70, my hours are worth a good deal more to me than they were at 40. And the point of this whole exercise was never to work as much as possible. It was to close a gap. Whichever one you pick, start small. One client, one house, one afternoon. You can always add a second. It's a lot harder to take one back. Now, I've done the arithmetic here, but I haven't done all 11 of these myself. So if you have, I'd like to hear how it actually went. What you charged, what you do differently, and what your part of the country pays, because I'm well aware that Ohio isn't the whole story. That's worth more to the next person watching than anything I could work out on my own. Thank you for spending this time with me. Spend where it matters, save where it doesn't.